I'd like to welcome everyone to this occasion. I hope it'll be a celebration of Sheila Wilson, born New Year's Eve, 1935. I'm not doing well. Died January 19th this year. There are many people here from different walks of her life. She was a nanny. Virginia was her last charge. Daphne tells me that they were all kind of raised by Sheila. There's some other connections there besides just the official charge. We all know that Sheila loved to dance. She loved Scottish music. She was known as a dancer and as a teacher of Scottish dance. Ed Adville is a longtime friend. He's also a teacher and a dancer. He danced with Sheila's group. He danced with the New York branch of the RSCDS with the Scotia dancers. He's going to be conducting the service today. Ed?
Before we begin with the memories of Sheila, which I'm sure there are many of them, and many of you would like to share them, I'd like to thank Jack Cole, who just spoke to you. He did a superb job organizing this. It's an awful lot of work, you know. It looks so simple when you come in. Well, there's some musicians, and here's the room, and there's some food over there, and somebody to run the service, but it's a lot of work, and I think it ran him ragged, so we owe him a great debt of thank you. And also, I want to thank my wife. I set the order of service, but my wife organized and printed out this lovely little leaflet that you can take with you as a memory of this. Also, the prelude, which Jenny Evans and Mary Abdul played, included many pieces that Sheila loved, and she would frequently say to Mary and Jenny or whoever the musicians were, would you play such and such a piece? And so Mary selected some of those. Also, at some point you're going to see that our piper today, Patrick Duffy, will play Cullen Bay. And then after the very brief selection from the funeral rite of the church, we'll have a silent meditation, as you see, and we'll send her our love and her best wishes for her new life. Beyond this one. And then we'll sing Northern Lights, which is a favorite and very appropriate since Sheila was born in Aberdeenshire, I think it is. This is not, yeah. So then we'll have Flowers of the Forest. For those of you who don't know, that's a phrase used for the dead. So in Scottish journals very often, like even in the Royal Scottish Country Dance Society journal, it'll have a little notice, the obits as we call them, and it'll say Flowers of the Forest, and it'll name people who have died in the community. So that will be played, and the piper will then slowly go toward the back and we'll have a reception. And there'll be more songs available. You don't have to sing them, but if you'd like to sing them, Mary has printed out a bunch of them for you. A bunch of them are Sheila's favorites, and she loved to sing the song. She just had a great time singing those songs, so we can sing along with her when we're at the reception. So we'll start off with Memories of Sheila, and Ron and Judy, his wife, Wilson, have flown over from Scotland, and that is lovely to have them here. I'd never met either of them. And we all feel like old friends because we knew Sheila so well. So we're going to have him speak first, and then I'm going to call on anyone who would like, and just raise your hand. Thank you. Ron?
Thank you.
Well, hello, my name is Ron. I am the youngest of Sheila's family. But as she would say, he's my wee brother. Coming from the northeast of Scotland, as most of you know, we speak a wee bit different from the rest of Scotland. And as some of you would know, by her telling you to hud your wisht, in other words, to be quiet. It's a bit funny me speaking about Sheila because she had two families, her American family and Judy and I, her Scottish family. So on behalf of our Scottish family, I would just like to thank you all for coming here today to celebrate the life of my big wee sister. It's really funny, but you probably know Sheila better than I do, because Sheila was 13 years old when I was born, and she left home at 15. So the only time I knew her was when she came home on holiday, and when we had conversations on the phone when we put the world to right. Sheila left home at 15 years old and went to Blair Castle in Scotland to work as a second nanny. From there, she went down to London. She went from London to Pennsylvania, and then she went to New York with Mr. and Mrs. White and Virginia. Which went to Mr. and Mrs. White and Virginia, as they say in Scotland, the rest is history. But she never lost her love of Scotland, as reflected in her love of Scottish country dancing, which you ones know a lot more than I do. I remember when Sheila came home on holiday once for a family wedding, and I went up to dance the Dashing White Sergeant or the Gay Gordons or something like that. And when I came back to the table, my sis said to me, "Ron, I've taught people to dance with two left feet, but you're the first person I've ever seen with two left and two right." And some of the steps you were doing, he says, "I have never ever seen any Scottish country dancing." She says, "Just you stick to your poetry, Loon." Sheila loved to hear about her family back home and how they were doing. When I started working with Dewar's whiskey, or as you would say in the States, Dewar's, I said to her, if you ever see anyone drinking White Label, you can say to them that your wee brother blended that and more than likely tasted it as well. I had always wanted to come to the USA, but when my first marriage went wrong, I had young children to bring up, so it was not possible on my own. I was on my own for 13 years before I met this wonderful person, Judy. Or did she meet this wonderful person, me? When Sheila was home a few years ago, she stayed with us, and they got on so well that I'm afraid they made a big hole in my wine store and my sweeties, or as you say, candies, aniseed balls and tablets.
Sheila was looking forward to the future when she died. She had plans for a picnic in the spring. I was supposed to take her to the doctor to get a walking cast put on, and she was so looking forward to being able to get up and walk around by herself. So Anne and another woman, Sue Trapp, and I were with her on Saturday night. Sally Clayton was with her on Sunday night when she when she had her heart attack. So she was with friends. She was looking forward to the future. I want everybody to know that.
I'm a man of few words, and I've never addressed an audience before. Well, I'll take back the few words, because I have plenty of them, but it's usually a class of dancers, and then I give them Laldi, which is hell in Scotland. Anyway, I just echo all that what everybody said. And if Sheila was here, she would look around the room and say, I hope you're going to be at the branch on Thursday or Susan and I just loved Sheila, and she loved us. And we met her.
Friend of Sheila's. I met Sheila in 1969. I came to New York and I danced in the UK, and I didn't know there was any dancing in New York. And I met a friend here who was a Scottish country dancer, and she said, yeah, there's an RSCDS in New York. And I went down to the branch. It was on 23rd Street then. And one of the first people that came up to me was Sheila. And she told me, well, it's not just one group in New York, there's two groups, there's also Scotia. And she said, there's a dance teacher at Scotia. He's a Scot. His name was Charlie Robertson. And I went along to Scotia, and so I would go to both groups. Charlie had a demonstration team. You'll see a lot of the pictures over there. And with another Scottish lady, and Sheila and I.
Virginia and I actually met in this building in 1979. And we were good friends, and she had great parents. She had two ways. Her parents had two ways of dealing with potential suitors. They had a really big dog named Max, and they had Sheila Wilson. I think Sheila was a little suspicious of me at first because my last name was French. But when she discovered that my mother's side of the family was from Scotland and had come to America in the 17th century, things started to get a little easier. One time around the holidays, I came to visit Virginia at 901, and I brought some flowers, and Virginia met me at the door, and she said, you didn't have to bring me flowers. And I said, they're not for you. Virginia rolled her eyes because I knew Sheila had a birthday coming up. Virginia rolled her eyes and sort of turned around and shouted out, Sheila, your boyfriend's here. She made me feel incredibly comfortable every time.
Compared to all of you, I feel like I barely knew her, but I'm Virginia's daughter, and since she took care of my mom, I felt like she was my nanny too. I am told that I grew up on her carrot soup. I remember Christmases when she used to come, and I don't really remember her down at the shore, but I know she was there. And every time I come to 901 and I go to Grandmommy's apartment, I sit down and I think, oh, I better go to Sheila's room and say hello. And every time, even when she was in the hospital, I got up and I said, oh, I have to go say hello to Sheila. And they said, oh, she's not here. And just her not being there is going to make the apartment one feel really empty, and we lost a family member.
Thank you very much.
Jennifer Haskell. I was known to Sheila as JFO because Virginia and I have been friends since first grade, which was 1971. So I will tell you quite frankly that you all know a different Sheila Wilson than I do. Right? So laid back, comfortable in her presence, that is not the Sheila I do. Nina says every time she goes to the house, she ran back to go to Sheila's room. Who knew? Not me. I had to be invited to go back there. I was not allowed to just come in and invite myself in. Sheila, Sheila raised me to be a proud Scottish lassie. Virginia and I walked down the street one day after the Milliken fashion show that Mrs. White was so wonderful and gracious to allow me to attend with her daughter. And Virginia and I were chatting, we were looking down at the sidewalk, and Sheila stopped. She was in front of us, turned around, came back to us and said, "Lift your eyes, lassie, lift your eyes when you walk down the street." I was terrified. And so ever since then, every single day, I walk down the streets of New York City and I lift my eyes. And I keep, and that, you know, that was actually a great life lesson too. Keep your eyes up. Be proud. She taught me to be proud of my Scottish heritage. And I've worn it here today. I'm a Graham. And she did. She taught me to be proud, to keep my eyes up. The world is a little bit dimmer without her in it. I'll miss her every single day. I think about her all the time, and I will continue to think about her. But I always think about her as about a first grader would, as a terrifying presence. I knew the day had come where I had reached adulthood when I was Virginia's matron of honor at her wedding. When I saw Sheila, and again that sort of cow beside me, and she turned to me and she threw her because she was tiny. She threw her tiny, powerful arms open and she said, "Jafo!" And she threw her arms around me, and I stood there thinking, what's happening right now? But that had been the transition, and I realized that if Sheila was showing me respect, I had earned it, and it was time for me to stand up, keep my eyes up, and be an adult. So Sheila will...
To join with me in the recitation of a part of the 23rd Psalm, which is in your leaflets. The Lord gave, and the Lord hath taken away.
Blessed be the name of the Lord.
The Lord
is my shepherd, therefore I can lack nothing. He shall feed me in the green pasture, and lead me forth beside the waters of comfort. He shall convert my soul, and bring me forth in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff shall comfort me. Glory to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Ghost, as it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, world without end. Amen.
The Lord gave, and the Lord hath taken away.
Blessed be the name of the Lord.
Rest in the eternal grant unto her, O Lord.
And let light perpetual shine upon her.
Come forth to meet her, ye angels of the Lord.
Receive her into your fellowship, O ye saints of God.
May the choirs of angels receive her.
And guide her into eternal peace.
Rest in the eternal grant unto her, O Lord.
And let light perpetual shine upon her.
We will now have a silent meditation. And I would ask you to think of Sheila as happy, free from the suffering of the physical world.